I was always told not to look out a window at night, because you might not like what's looking back at you. They call this an old wives' tale, or something like that. But for me, it was just a bunch of silly crap. So, I made a point to do the exact opposite. Like most people my age, I guess I felt like I was spitting in the face of some outdated half-assed logic that some old person had come up with. I mean, who the hell goes around looking into people's windows? Am I right? And since I didn't believe in ghosts, monsters, demons or whatever, I didn't give that notion a thought either. I know, some of you will say that there are creepy people that have been known to do this, but I've always lived in a very nice neighbourhood, so the likelihood of this happening was, well, pretty slim. Or so I thought. One night, I got out of bed to make a late night deposit in the porcelain bank. I finished my business and washed up, and decided I was kind of parched, so I went to the kitchen for a drink. I grabbed a glass, opened the fridge, and filled it with tasty cucumber lime water I keep in there. Because, you know, who wants to drink boring tap water? I finished drinking, and as I was about to leave the kitchen, I glanced at the window. I might as well take a peek, I said to myself as I walked over to it. I looked out, and as usual, nothing there. I turned to walk back to my bedroom when I decided to take one more look. The most horrible face I'd ever seen stared back at me. The face, which was pale white, smiled at me, but not with a regular smile. Its smile was inhumanly wide and filled with sharp teeth. I screamed, ran back to my room, jumped in bed, and covered my head with the blankets. What the hell was that? I whispered to myself. I tried to put it out of my mind and go back to sleep, but it took a while. The next morning, my parents asked me why I'd screamed the previous night. I gave them a lame excuse about seeing my reflection in the window, and it had scared me. They seemed content with my explanation, so there was no further discussion. Besides, I was convinced that I'd imagined the whole thing in the first place. It had been the middle of the night. I was extremely tired and my eyes were probably playing tricks on me. That night, I found myself up late, working on coursework for one of my college classes. It had been hours since dinner, and I was starting to feel a little bit hungry. I knew there was a container of hummus and some artisan crackers with my name on them in the kitchen, so off I went. With my snack in hand, I started back to my room. As I passed the window, I stopped and glanced at it. I didn't really want to look out of it, but I refused to bow to superstition. It was 2020, and I was a college student, for crying out loud. My brain just wasn't built like that. I walked over to the window and looked out. Nothing. See? There, I told myself smugly. Superstition is wrong again. I walked a few steps down the hall, then turned around and went back to the window and looked back out it. The face was there, smiling its evil smile. I dropped the hummus and crackers as I backed away from the window. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't make a sound. The thing on the other side of the window raised a pale hand and wagged a long finger at me, like a mother chastising her child. I fled to my room, and as I entered, I saw the blinds on my 2 windows were open. The thing's face stared at me from both of them, and I ran back into the hall. I went into the bathroom and slammed the door behind me. I slumped down on the toilet with my head in my hands and begged for the thing to please go away. I heard a tap above me, and when I looked up at the small bathroom window, the face was there too. It still smiled while it shook its head. It wasn't going to stop, apparently. Hopelessly, I stood up, stepped into the shower, and pulled the curtain closed. I stayed there for the remainder of the night, but I didn't sleep. The next morning, my parents found me in the bathroom. I tried hysterically to tell them what had happened, but they only looked at me like I was crazy. And after I tried to cover all of the windows in the house, they brought me to this hospital. I've been here for a month now, and it's really not that bad. The doctors made sure I got a room without any windows, which has really helped my mental state. And things have been going so well that a few days ago, I got my cell phone back. With all this time on my hands, I've been thinking about the circumstances that led me to this point, and I've decided that maybe I was wrong about old wives' tales and superstitions. In fact, I urge anyone reading this not to blow off the old ways. They exist for a reason. That being said, there's another saying I've heard that I can't help but be concerned about, especially considering I have a mirror in my room. It's the one about the eyes being the windows to the soul.